kin nazari.
Hello and welcome to News Hour on Unity TV. Today is Friday, 24th of July 2023, and it's equivalent to 3rd of Muharram 1444 after Hijrah. The headlines: NEC dumps Buhari's Social Investment Register, says it lacks integrity. APC's NWC members oppose Ganduje, tip North Central for chair. Unknown infection kills at least 10 children in Kaduna. On the foreign scene, US confirms its cluster bombs are in use in Ukraine. And in sports, Super Falcons hold Canada to a draw in Women's World Cup. And those were the headlines, and for details and more of the stories, I am Rukayat Sani Ibrahim. The National Economic Council NEC yesterday unanimously resolved to do away with the National Social Register used by the Buhari's administration to implement its conditional cash transfer, saying it lacks credibility. Consequently, it asked states to generate their own registers for such cash transfers. This is even as the federal government announced that it will distribute 252,000 metric tons of grains to states at subsidized rates to cushion the effects of hardship occasioned by petrol subsidy removal. The NEC meeting, presided over by Vice President Kashim Shettima at the Council Chamber Presidential Villa, said the register had integrity issues as the criteria for its compilation was unclear. Briefing State House correspondents at the end of the meeting, Governor Chukwuma Salodu of Anambra State said contrary to what the previous administration projected, it was not possible to digitally transfer money to the poorest of the poor, the majority of whom were unbankable. He said it was agreed that states should generate registers that were comprehensive and ensure it was only for vulnerable people. The organized labor yesterday accused the Bola Ahmed Tinubu-led federal government of jettisoning the presidential steering committee it set up to work out the palliatives, among others, to cushion the effects of the subsidy removal that has worsened the socio-economic well-being of Nigerians, especially workers. Speaking through the Association of Senior Civil Servants of Nigeria, ASCSN, organized labor, however, called on the government to declare a state of emergency on insecurity, as well as address the transportation difficulties facing workers and other Nigerians in the midst of the rising high cost of essential services following the removal of subsidy on petrol. President of ASCSN and a member of the subcommittee of the Presidential Steering Committee on Codes of Governance, Dr. Tommy Okon, who spoke during interaction with journalists in Lagos, expressed disappointment at the manner President Bola Tinubu-led administration was handling the planned palliatives to cushion the effects of petrol subsidy removal on Nigerians, describing it as dictatorial while jettisoning the committee. The government set up in the wake of the subsidy removal and organized labor threats to go on strike and mass protests. Strong indications have emerged that members of the ruling All Progressives Congress National Working Committee may clash with the party's governors over a plan by the latter to adopt ex-governor Abdullahi Ganduje as the new national chairman of the party. The development followed the sudden exit of Senator Abdullahi Adamu and Senator Iola Omisori as the party's national chairman and national secretary respectively. Barely 48 hours after the development, Progressives Governors Forum, the umbrella body of the party's governors, met in Abuja and reportedly agreed to back Ganduje as Adamu's successor. Hours after the news went viral, party chieftains and members of the NWC were divided over the plan to make the 73-year-old ex-Kano State Governor the substantive chairman of the party. The APC National Vice Chairman for Northwest, Malam Salihu Lukman, kicked against replacing Adamu with Ganduje, saying the action might upset the zoning arrangement of the party. In a statement issued in Abuja on Thursday titled APC Way Forward, the NWC members said the move will be the height of insensitivity if it turned out to be true. Medical authorities in Kaduna State have raised alarm over the outbreak of an unknown respiratory tract infection, which they say has killed 10 children aged between 3 and 13 years. The outbreak is said to have occurred in Kafanchan, a town in Jama'a local government area in the state. The Chief Medical Director of Sir Patrick Ibrahim Yakowa Memorial Hospital, Dr. Isaac Nathaniel, confirmed the incident on Thursday. This is coming a few weeks after Nigerian Center for Disease Control and Prevention (NCDC) announced the outbreak of diphtheria in the Federal Capital Territory following the first case and death of a 4-year-old child in June. The Senate has asked the federal government to suspend a tender by the Transmission Company of Nigeria (TCN) to purchase electricity meters for the second phase of the National Mass Metering Program (NMMP) abroad. TCN is said to be looking to purchase the meters through a World Bank facility. The upper legislative chamber urged TCN to negotiate with the African Export-Import Bank (Afrexim) and the African Development Bank (AFDB) if the World Bank will not encourage local manufacturing of meters. The resolutions of the Senate followed a motion by Victor Ume, senator representing Anambra Central. The motion was adopted after it was put to a vote by Senate President Godswill Akpabio. The military high command says it has discovered and destroyed no fewer than 23 illegal crude oil refineries and arrested 60 suspects oil thieves in the last 2 weeks. The Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, disclosed these on Wednesday during military's bi-weekly press briefing in Abuja. Briefing journalists on Thursday, the military spokesman said troops of Operation Delta Safe recorded 367,200 liters of crude oil, 27,150 liters of automotive gas oil, 550 assorted rounds of ammunition, 12 calibers of weapons, 7 empty. A former local lawmaker representing Kaduna Central, Senator Shehu has faulted the federal government's planned palliatives to cushion the effects of fuel subsidy removal on Nigerians. Shehu, who appeared as a guest on Channel's television Politics Today, and the palliatives are not enough to address the poverty in the land. In the long term, the former lawmaker asked the federal government to increase workers' salaries, assist farmers in food production, as well as focus on agriculture. During the show, Shehu said the planned move to retrieve the loan from the World Bank and share it with Nigerians would be suicidal. The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has registered a new political party in Nigeria, the Youth Party (YP). National Commissioners and Chairman Information and Voter Education Committee of INEC, Festus Okoye, said these on Thursday in Abuja in a statement. This development raised the number of registered political parties in the country to 19. It will be recalled that INEC had on 6th of February 2020 deregistered 74 political parties for poor performance in the 2019 general elections and the subsequent rerun elections across the country. On the foreign scene, the White House has confirmed that Ukraine is using U.S. cluster bombs against Russian forces in the country. National Security spokesman John Kirby said initial feedback suggested they were being used effectively on Russian defensive positions and operations. Cluster bombs scatter multiple bomblets and are banned by more than 100 states due to their threat to civilians. The U.S. agreed to supply them to boost Ukraine's ammunition supplies. Ukraine has promised the bombs will only be used to dislodge concentrations of Russian enemy soldiers. Reacting to the U.S. decision to send the bombs, Russian President Vladimir Putin said his country had similar weapons and they will be used if they are used against them. Oleksandr Syrskyi, the Ukrainian general in charge of operations in the country's east, told the BBC last week that his forces needed the weapons to inflict maximum damage on enemy infantry. And in sports, Nigeria Super Falcons held Canada to a 0-0 draw in their Group B opener at the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup in Australia and New Zealand. Chiamaka Nnadozie, who was the busiest of the two goalkeepers, saved a penalty early in the second half. The Falcons had to play the dying minutes of the game with 10 players after Deborah Abiodun was sent off for a dangerous foul. It was a game that saw Canada dominate throughout the encounter but could not break down the Falcons. Up next for the Falcons is a tough game against host Australia on Thursday, July 27. And with the sport news, we've come to the end of our bulletin for today. You can follow us on our social media handles at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Unity Radio FM TV, respectively. You can also watch us live on the satellite decoder Badarsat, which has been watched in about 38 countries of the world free. You can also watch us and stream us live on our YouTube channel at Unity FM TV. I am Rukayat Sani Ibrahim. Thanks for watching and enjoy the rest of our programs. To have yourself a lovely day.
I was the head boy in my primary school, senior prefect and best graduating student in my secondary school, but drug abuse almost ruined my life.
I was on an average of 2 grams of cocaine per day.
I was taking 8 ampoules of pentazosine daily.
European shisha, cocaine.
I became a user, a dealer, and a gangster.
I saw other users drowning. I knew I didn't want to be like them, but I was already trapped.
My family disowned me.
My employment was terminated.
I sold my car, sold my house. I'll go out well-dressed and return shoeless, shirtless in exchange for drugs.
I was seeing things that were not real, and I once stabbed myself because I felt something crawling under my skin.
I contacted NDLEA and started therapy.
I spent 3 months in therapy.
I spent 8 months.
It's easy to relapse, but your mind has to be stronger than the cravings.
Drugs does not love you. You are not the one using drugs. Drugs are the one using you. Say no to drug abuse.